This video describes the structure of the AEC work structure. Essentially what I'm going to do today is describe what goes in each folder and how it's organized. If you look at the AEC work structure, you have the base folder, which is the AEC WS001. In it is all of the other folders plus a few front-end files in case you need to do a few things. The title block integration mapping, there's variables to exclude AAM. Those are really to deal with project-wise. And then there's the update VBS, or AECWS VBS file that allows you to upgrade the work structure at each phase, or each time we release a new update or bug fixes. So right in the root is where you're going to find most, the help files for installing the software, or this work structure. The AEC shortcuts folder, that is the location where the shortcuts for each of the software that you're using are placed to manipulate how it starts. Essentially what you're going to do with these, if you're using MicroStation, you're going to tell it to use UST on site to point it to the Workspace standards folder. If you're using AutoCAD, you might use it to change which profile you're using. The Docs folder contains the various standards and guides to help you get through or work with the work structure. AEC CAD standards is the CAD standards used by the Department of Defense. The AEC graphic standards is the graphic standards. And the difference between CAD standards and graphic standards is that the graphic standards is the way it looks on the sheet. The CAD standards is the information you need, like levels and plot styles and how to get it to operate in the CAD system. So the graphic standards really doesn't matter which software you're using, or even if you're drafting by hand, that really describes what it should look like. The manager's guide tells you how to install the work structure and manipulate it. The symbols guide is a list of all of the various cells and blocks and line styles and line types. So there's a pretty long list of resources there if you're looking for something specific, valves or front-end information or symbols of various types. And then the user's guide is a document that lays out how to use the workspace or the work structure. It goes through and tells you what each piece is about. AEC V5 to AEC 6 changes to the cells and line styles is just basically a list of everything that changed. And then there's a report issues file in here. This one here will allow you to send a issue report to the work structure committee, and if you're having a problem, we can help you out with it. Then there's the wsversion.txt. That file is kind of a README file that describes which version you're on and what was changed from the previous versions. Then we get into the workspace. The workspace has 3 folders in it. And I'm going to start from the bottom. The standards folder has the Bentley standards and the Autodesk standards in it. If you're looking for seed files, cell libraries, or we also run, or the plot drivers, or if you're running a VBA, that's where we store basically the stuff to get MicroStation and various Bentley products to run and operate. If you look at the DG, or the data sets folder, that includes items that are needed to get MicroStation or Bentley products to run in different modes. So the horizontal runs whenever you run inroads. If you're running Ecosym Building Designer, it runs the vertical mode. If you're working in metric files, then it runs through the metric standards that are in there. And then if you're working in DWG work mode, and basically it just loads another set of configurations and loads various resources for working in each of those environments. The Autodesk folder currently just has ACAD, but we plan to include Revit content here soon. But in the ACAD folder is blocks, line types, plot styles, and the templates. So if you're looking for the various templates, they are found in the template folder underneath Autodesk. In the projects folder, there is the project template and any PCF files if you're using Bentley software. The project template contains all of the various information that you may need to use to deliver standard content. It's an environment that is laid out so that we have a common way of working and everybody knows where everybody's stuff is at. So if you look at these folders, there's the CAD BIM folder. Inside of this one is where everything that you will deliver to a contractor at contract award would reside. It's essentially all of the CAD files and all of the reference files to those sheets and the supporting files that work with them. So there are a couple support files in here. There's an Autodesk support and a Bentley support file. And this is where if you're a designer and you want to create new custom cells or anything else that you may need to add to the work structure or to the project that isn't delivered, this is a good place to store that information so that it can be delivered as needed. And the Autodesk folder has an AutoCAD folder for fonts and templates, and basically can store your information in there. The design process folder is laid out very similarly to the CAD BIM folder, but the design process folder is designed to be not delivered to the contractor at contract award. So you may store things in there like design analysis, the cost estimates, those things that aren't to be delivered, but you still need to keep them with the project. The out folder is for output from the work structure or from the CAD BIM files. Whenever you have an automated process to create output, there needs to be a location for that stuff to go. Most of it goes into miscellaneous, but if you're exporting an IFC, there's a folder for that. Or if you're creating plots files, the PDFs by default go to the plot folder. This is where you check them and make sure that everything is correct before sending them out for reproduction. The P&S sets folder is a reproduction folder. Essentially, once you've figured out that the plots are good and ready to be plotted, you'll move those to the various subfolders underneath there to be reproduced. So you may rename 01 submittal to 30%, 02 submittal to 65%, and 03 submittal for 90%, and maybe 04 submittal for final, and then use solicitation for your advertisement set, and then you may create another one for a contract award, and then maybe even another one for as-built or whatever other submittals you may need. But this is essentially the PDF record of what is created from for the project. The specifications folder is a location to store the specs once they are completed. It's just a place that is normally empty until after all the specs and tact files are created and used and the project is nearly over. Some people ask where certain things are. If you look in the CAD BIM folder, how is this organized? The Master Models folder is designed to hold each of the project master models. That would be something like you would store all of your Revit files in the Master Models folder so that they link together well. The Sheets folder is the location for the plotted sheets. They're all in one folder so that you can create automated processes to generate the index and also do things like print organizer or other batch printing routines. Inside of this folder there is both a DGN example and a DWG example of the cover sheet, and there is a DGN and a DWG example of the abbreviation sheet. The general folder, in the general drawings folder, this is where you can find all of the title blocks. There is a title block for each of the ANSI sizes, plus the ISO A1 for metric work. And this also contains the AEC sheet set manager file and the AEC work structure sheet indexer. There's other videos on how to use that, but if you're generating a Excel spreadsheet from ProjectWise to create your index, this is a great tool to speed things up. The other discipline folders are for the respective models. So if you were working on something that was civil, you would do your modeling in the 05 Civil, and then if you are creating drawings that would get referenced to the sheet, that's your 2D views of your 3D models. The same thing for all of the disciplines. So if you're doing an architectural model using Ecosystem Building Designer and you create a 2D sheet or a view of it, then the drawings go underneath the drawings folder. So you basically are doing your modeling, creating your views of your models and your detailing work and your annotation work in the drawings, and then referencing that back up to the sheets. And again, the support folder contains the support files to use the software. The third folder is the extensions folder. The extensions folder has three things in it. There's a BBES extension. This is really intended for if you are using the Ecosystem Building Designer Bentley or electrical software, or Ecosystem Building Designer electrical. It is the symbols for using that software. It's best maintained outside of ProjectWise, so we created it as an extension so that it could easily be stripped out of the Workspace for use in ProjectWise. The iModel importer, like the BBES, only works outside of ProjectWise, or it only works when the iModel importer is sitting outside of ProjectWise, because it ties Excel to various iModels and imports the data and then allows you to quickly view the information inside of iModels and using Bentley Navigator. And then there's a local extension folder. This is where your customization of the work structure should happen. So if you're at a site and you want to make changes, or you want to create additions to the work structure, this is where your CAD manager would probably put the plot files with your own settings. And that is the basic structure of how the AEC work structure is laid out.